Hello, good morning to you all. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain. So,
well, we always say we thank God it's Friday. We thank God for every day.
Oh yeah,
but
absolutely.
Friday is absolutely special. Welcome to the program. I'm Maupe Ogunyusu.
It's 7 a.m. Well, 7:01. It's November 17. It's a Friday morning, as you heard. Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Yes, indeed. So, we spoke to you some time ago, probably in passing, of the comments from the NSA, Nuhu Rabadu, who made reference to the challenges that the country is facing, what and how they intend to at least navigate and ensure they deliver, because that's what people just want. So, at this Guild of Editors meeting, several people have been speaking. So he was also there, and here is his latest comment on that matter.
When we took over the country, we had 4 active security challenges, serious ones. Even one alone will undermine a very physical and continuous management of a country. We had the Boko Haram and Islamic insurgency, which for about 15 years or so now ongoing. We have had the Niger Delta, we do have the Niger Delta for over 30 years of insecurity. In fact, the banditry and the kidnappings, especially within the area of northern Nigeria, north central, northwest, and so on. And also, unfortunately, what is still a little bit going on with the southeast. These 4 massive problems, each one is capable of really bringing us to our own knees. All of them very active. At the time when we took over, probably like last year, average we used to record minimum of 1,200 or more violent deaths as a result of criminal activities, banditry, terrorists, those who undermine the state and make life difficult for our own people. Yes. And we went to work. We did. The time we took over, the production crude oil, which is like what is an indication of things happening, was just about 1.1 million to 1.2. And often, how you know whether things are working or not, how many cargoes are you exporting? How many cargoes of crude oil? This is what tells you the story. We had less than 20 a month. We worked quietly. Today, crude oil production is over 1.7 million barrels a day.
Well, that's Malam Nuhu Rabadu, the National Security Advisor, giving those figures. As Chamberlain said, it seems like he's speaking a little more. Well, perhaps one can even say maybe this federal government is speaking out a little more than, in recent time. But while the figures that he has given, the analyses that he's given, are valid, these aren't things that are new to us. The question is, what's the plan? It is good to know that the government is aware of some of these issues, but maybe just to draw them in, to drum them in a little more. In 2020, former President Obasanjo made a comment at an event where he was speaking. He said that over 14 million out-of-school children may be added to the poverty group of the country if the education sector is not revamped and transformed. 3 years down the line, June this year to be precise, the same former President Obasanjo said that he has it on good authority that poverty and unemployment are responsible for a good number of the insurgency, insecurity that we have around. In fact, he went on to say that during the early days of Boko Haram, he was told that it is the people who founded it told him, former President Obasanjo, that, you know, it's because of poverty and unemployment. So can we say safely then that the reason for insecurity, a good chunk of the insecurity, particularly in the north, is because of poverty and unemployment? Now we have a situation where out-of-school children were, even though very, very slowly, perhaps, and if not, please kindly reach out to us and let us know. A situation where a good number of those things aren't really playing out the way they should. That is a really disturbing one. So poverty is on the rise. Education is not being revamped. That is a recipe for increased insecurity in the future. The question is, what are we doing about it to ensure we don't get to that point where we are struggling? We solve one problem, meanwhile we are creating another one for the future. In fact, I think I also remember the same former President Obasanjo saying that if we are not careful, in the future not too far away, the children that are not going to school today, that are in poverty today, that are impoverished today, that are economically denied today, they are a recipe for the insecurity of tomorrow. Are we prepared to ensure that that does not happen? What collaborations have to happen? Are the governors, again, we call out the governors, guys, we did that yesterday and almost all of this week. Are the governors in each of these states aware of the peculiarities of their states and how whatever they do or do not do contribute to the insecurity problems, whether locally, statewide, or nationally? Questions, questions, questions.
If there's anything that editors can ask, I want to imagine that it will be questions. So I do not want to think that the NSA just said what he said and, you know, there was no engagement.
Yeah.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall with the engagement that the editors would have had with the NSA, which perhaps was not captured in this particular clip that we've seen of his brief of the current security situation to the country, or with the country. But I think, Ayo, it's worth acknowledging that each of the, I mean, the NSA was very clear that each of the security challenges that Nigeria currently faces, each one of them is big enough to torpedo the progress that we've made as a country. And yet we're dealing with at least 4 major ones in different parts of the country. And somehow we're still, you know, we're still trudging on. Obviously, all is not well. And when you look at how long these problems and have now been with us, you know, I was trying to say are now with us, but have now been with us, you know, it shows that we have let them fester for a bit too long. We have not grown the habit of nipping things in the bud, as they say. And it looks like sometimes we let them grow arms and legs, you know, grow roots and tap roots before we eventually now decide that they're problematic enough for us to deal with. And we usually pay a very heavy price. For instance, you have to ask, how is it that we let the kidnapping problem in the Northwest, you know, just go on and become a very big thing? How were we not able to quell it in good time? I mean, is it that we didn't see Zamfara, for instance, and the fact that there was a resource problem there that was beginning to spring up? Why did we let it fester and then infect all the other states around it? The big questions. In the Northeast, where Boko Haram started, it started like a joke. The federal government, obviously, there are intelligence agencies that gather information on behalf of the federal government, telling it, you know, the things that are currently happening. I mean, they gather intelligence on behalf of government and should be able to project. These are the major 4 that we currently have. Are we looking to the future to see which ones could be coming up right next? It could be online, it could be in the cyberspace or cybersphere, as the case might be. Are we already projected into what security problems could come up in the next, say, 4 or 5 years, 10 years? Or are we so preoccupied with these ones, spending so much money on them, that we're not entirely looking into the future? As I said, Ayo and Chamberlain, I would really love to be a fly on the wall to see how the engagement with the NSA went. Because, I mean, that's also what the Office of the National Security Advisor does. Not only do they look at what is currently happening in the country and see how, a lot of areas are related to security. You'd be surprised how the economy ties into security, how a lack of education ties into insecurity, how a lack of healthcare, etc., ties into or feeds into insecurity. It's the job of the NSA to tie all of these things and also project into the future. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of conversations happen there. But if we're just to make conclusion or agree with the NSA that we're making progress based on the amount of crude oil that we're exporting, what about the amount of food? For instance, in the northeast and northwest, areas we know, and even in the north central, areas we know are traditionally the food baskets of the country. Are we able to measure successfully, just how much food increase we've seen, how many farmers are able to go to their farms as a result of the progress that we've made in solving the problems around insecurity? That will be a very good measurement, and it'll be interesting to know. I do know, though, that in spite of the insecurity that we hear about, I know that media sometimes bad news is good news or bad news is news, and maybe we need to do more in that area to see how we can give a true and complete picture, not one that puts fear and trepidation to the point where people are unable to do things, unable to move outside of their safe zones because of news that they hear. There are people who are doing a great job moving around this country and still showing us that it's still possible to travel. And some of them, guess what, are foreigners. I follow a few people on Instagram, Timberlane, who go around this country showing me parts of my own country I haven't been to. And letting me know that it's not as bad as we make out to be, even though their primary audience is not even Nigeria. Their primary audience are non-Nigerians. And somehow, they tend to do a better job of projecting a better picture of our country than we sometimes do. But that said, we cannot underplay, we cannot minimize the problems that we face. They are enormous. And while it is that we pray for progress, it will be a very good thing to be able to measure it in tangibles, not by photo ops, not by, well, Instagram is good, but more by concrete things in terms of the actual, quality of life that people in rural areas or people who are living in these areas affected by insecurity can eke out. Timberlane.
There are just so many components to all of this, but just a few words here. Yes, the NSA is speaking shortly after his initial comments, which got a lot of attention, where he was addressing armed forces, and he did say that they inherited a very difficult situation, a bankrupt country, to the extent that we are paying back what was taken. That was his word, and said he was serious, So yesterday, following through with that comment in terms of what the challenges they met and how they're trying to weather the storm. Yes, it's NSA, so of course it will be more in tone to ensuring security matters, security of lives and property. But of course, he has access to a lot of the other data, so that's why he can tell you about 1.7 MPD that we're exporting at the moment from 1.1 or 1.2. Then the security challenge was really bad. So he says, yes, we allowed it fester way too long. It becomes a very difficult thing to eventually tackle headlong when you left it that long. And so there are so many questions he seems to be raising here of what they meant on ground. Why did we allow that in the first instance? So people expected, that was the least of what they expected of the former government, considering his military background. They expected him to root it out headlong. But from what we're saying now, that didn't happen. And speaking about security, don't forget, guys, I saw a report in March 2021 that was talking about over let me see if I can remember that, it was in trillions, because I mean there was this controversial $1 trillion too, remember, that was approved for the president from this excess crude accounts, $1 trillion for the army, and then there were also several reports about 2.6 trillion spent on arms. And so when all of these figures, you look through them, and the accounts that they seem to be giving us now is nothing to write home about from what we met. So these are the kind of things that we expect the Ministry of Finance, the economy, to be talking to Nigerians about economic indices, giving them assurances, what needs to be done. I know that they tried some time ago when they said that the government will shock currency speculators, but there'll be a steady rise in the value of the naira. That's the intention, but that's not what is going on at the moment. So I think the stark reality, the bottom line is, look, you know how we always say here too, it is the results that people see. That's what is really hitting hard. And the petrol, so there's just a lot to grapple with. So the government needs to understand, much as they know, they've said it, they need to hunker down, get down to work. Because really and truly, that's what they told us that they were going to do. So much as it's appreciated, them being forthright with Nigerians, that's what they want. But at the same time, need results. So that said, I know judiciary is in focus again. This week, take a look at Daily Trust. Appeal court sacks Zamfara governor. Orders rerun in 3 local government areas. Yesterday as well, it was all over the news how Plateau women protested the decision by the courts in the last couple of days, weeks, concerning their party. They thought something is going awry here. They don't understand it. It appears to be inconsistent with the principles established by law. But you see this again, it might not have been a surprise to some persons, but several others wonder with a big question mark. But there are others, it's not just this one, others that are going to come through. Look at the rider here. Kano, Bauchi governors, no fate today. Wow. Panic foodstuffs buying in Kano over fear of violence. Police warn against wild jubilation in Bauchi. So there's something going on. There's something going on. No. Some people know the result of what's going to happen. They know. So when you read all the story, just listen to read through, and you get to see what they're not saying. So for Kano, people know how this is going to turn out. So the CP was holding conferences and certain things. There's been some reshuffling in the defense security quarters there. Well, maybe to be more efficient, who knows. But then Bauchi, they're warning against wild jubilation. So you're like, I know they'll say after, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. But deeper than that.
That's what you think?
Of course. That's what I know. That is what I know. But I'm only reading the headline and I'm going to stick with it. That is, oh, look at this. Let me just give you just one more. Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi polls, vote buying, intimidation, disturbing. Peace committee, it means it's a thing. It means it happened. Okay, well.
According to the former deputy governor, he said, it happens. So you ask, did it happen in this poll? He says, well, I don't know. It didn't happen in my own constituency. But it happens.
So you see, and if you think about the context with which we're speaking, so you look at it from the context of immediate setting, not the context of the subject as a whole. But again, that's Daily Trust. Let me just leave it there. I didn't say anything. Yeah.
Trembling there and mischief. 5 and 6. Leadership Friday. Supreme Court, Judicial Council to screen 22 justices. That's the lead story right there. Only 11 will join Apex Court bench. North, Central, Southeast, top with 12 nominees. Right there on the front page of Leadership Friday. They also see at the bottom, labor strike, importers bemoan surcharge. Okay, so if the ports didn't work for 2 days as exactly, or 2 days as something that was not the fault of the importers, should they be made to pay demurrage? You know, should they be made to pay for it?
Is there anything that custom even does to that we had those importers say, yes, we commend customs, they're considering the economic situation and then they're taking plan A, B, C, or D?
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to know. I mean, in terms of the efficiency and the manner in which they conduct their affairs, it'll be interesting to know from the perspective of importers. But page 19 is where you get to find details, and we can see right there that it affects importers. Maybe they too can organize their own protest. It'll be interesting to see. Appeal Court declares Zamfara poll inconclusive. Bala Yusuf, no fate today. 2024 budget can be funded with borrowing attributed to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edu. So you find details on page 7 of the paper, and looks like we lost a life yesterday. One killed as police Shiite clash in Kaduna. Page 6.
Just wonder what.
Read.
This is not something that is far away. Anyways.
A very interesting take. Can we survive the attack of big tech? And that is a big question that Azu is posing on the back page. And this is about media, traditional media versus big tech. We'll leave it there. Those who are interested in that kind of conversation for Leadership Friday.
And switch to...
I'm interested.
Yeah, switch to this Nigeria newspaper. I'm sure that Mark told you the page, Chamberlain. But this Nigeria newspaper, look at the front page. Something worth exploring as well, I guess. Buhari's policies suffocated private sector growth. It's a report, so you may want to find out what the findings of that report are. Stories you'll find the details of on page 2. Last 8 years, you can see it right there. Difficult for Nigerians. That's the lead of the paper this morning, and one is wondering, are you wondering? Last 8 years difficult for Nigerians. Very interesting way to put it right there. At the bottom of the page, what do you see? Senate 2024 budget. Senate queries MDA's poor revenue projections. Says external interventions may push country to deficit financing. Maybe there is a need, or rather, maybe it is time to actually probe these projections, because, well, some wild thinking in my head is that those projections are being lowered for certain sinister reasons. Maybe we want to find out why. And then also, let us query, the income that we've been having before now. Yes, I know, Marco, you're going to come after me for going back to the Auditor General's report, because that really is where we should be querying. Who are the people responsible for this revenue? And then not just the revenue, not just the inflows, but the outflows as well. These are the things that the Auditor General's report usually queries. You will all remember what Mr. Falana had to do recently, asking the NNPC why they haven't remitted certain resources into the Federation account. So those are some of the things that you may find in this thing. Now, if Senate is querying MDA's poor revenue projections, on what basis? Are they making reference to, or any reference whatsoever, to the Auditor General's report over the years that makes them say, no, this is too low for you? Because after all, this is the first time the 10th Assembly is doing this. Are they members from the previous Assembly that are asking these questions? Again, questions. That's the, by the way, Mark, he went to give a keynote speech. I'm not sure he was able to take questions, but hey, we'll have to find out. So, a number of other stories. Look at this one. FCTA partners with Daewoo on investment, honors 31 retired directors for outstanding services, and several other stories you'll find on the front page of the paper. But just this last one, guys. Adeleke defies court order, suspends CJ, That story is on page 13. It's a story worth exploring because, on the one hand, this story is pointing at the governor, but we understand that it's the House of Assembly that actually did the job. Exactly what's happening here. You may find the details of that story on page 13 of this Nigeria newspaper today.
Okay, take a look at the Guardian newspaper next. From recreation to chronic diseases, poverty. How sachet alcoholic drinks breed alcoholism thwarts national development. That's what some of you call sachet. So they're just giving you this now, so you know. And they have all of this. I know you're wondering what's going on with this one, but yeah, I guess we'll have to let you go see yourself, because they went further to give you alcohol consumption per capita around the world. So maybe they'll look at Nigeria too, in case tax officials might turn their eye here, just in case something's not going on well now. So that's the big one you see right here. And then beneath that one, service shutdown imminent as USSD debts hit 200 billion naira. And then part of what we highlighted earlier today, insecurity. Buhari handed tough period to Tinubu. Ribadu laments. That's the Guardian this morning.
Well, look at what New Telegraph has on the front page. Off-cycle polls. We need to clean up our electoral system. Attributed to Abdusalami Abubakar. Says citizens collude with merchants of corruption during polls. The paper is New Telegraph. Okay, you can see it right there. Go on, suspends reception for Akume, Wike, others over poll litigations. The story is on pages 2 and 6. They're all under the header of cycle polls. At the bottom here, Finance Minister, Nigeria can't rely on borrowing. Says nation needs adequate revenue to fund budgets as Senate raises concern over revenue leakages. Obi to Tinubu, tell Nigerians how much you inherited. Okay, that's a challenge.
So we're bankrupt.
Well, I was talking about inheritances. Tinubu inherited security challenges capable of crippling Nigeria. That's according to Ribadu. Senate summons security chiefs, others over insecurity. Will enact laws to address root causes of insecurity. That's according to Abbas. And police shites clash in Kaduna over Gaza protests. Okay. Well, you also see right there at the bottom, Senate rejects bill seeking to legitimize constituency projects. Very interesting conversation that happened on the floor of the Senate yesterday, and something about their powers being surrendered, and they were not going to have it. So page 5 is where you get to see.
So the power tussle now, isn't it?
You're not surrendering their powers.
God.
Anyway, they threw it out. And look at this. Loans. Nigeria to lose 40% of 2024 revenue to interest payments. So we're still owing a very big sum. We need to service those debts.
That's
Otherwise,
what
we will not.
was talking about. That we're paying back what we're taking is difficult, but we're trying.
And oil deal. Nigeria to withdraw $1 billion claims against Italian firm. That's right there. And just in case you come across the story again, Ikemba Nnewi title belongs to Ojukwu forever. Can't be conferred on anyone else. You might want to look at who's speaking on page 3 of the paper. We'll leave you there for New Telegraph.
Look at the Vanguard newspaper this morning, still picking from the editor's confab ongoing. Why kidnapping has replaced armed robbery. That's according to the NSA. Senate summons NSA service chiefs over insecurity. Reps fume. Turn back service chiefs, IGP representatives over debate on security challenges. Bandits abduct Kaduna district head. Soldiers ambush arms supplier. Oh gosh. Gunmen kill abducted priest, oh my God, after collecting 1 million naira ransom in Kogi. Enemy threatens strike over kidnap of 10 doctors in Enugu. Certainly very, very concerning. MTEF FSP, we can't continue borrowing to fund Nigeria's budget. So what are we going to do about it? What are the enabling environment for us to begin to produce? We had this conversation this morning with Dr. Muda Yusuf yesterday, and talking about how to bring down inflation figures, and the things that are responsible for inflation are partly production related, and also, hey, on and on and on that goes. Still on the editors' confab, above the nameplate, editors' confab, fireworks as stakeholders interrogate national security, threats to elections, media reforms. Find that story on page 8. Well, Malkwa, it's a Friday morning, as we often say, and Mr. is sitting at the table asking questions. Yes, you told me about the increase in the price of foodstuff, but why did you serve this meal with a piece of meat? Mr. is out of sight. I beg your pardon, Mrs. is out of sight, and she says, since you didn't do anything about it, that's a warning strike. And that's Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, so I guess, gentlemen, I think we should wrap it up with a look at what some of the dailies. Do we still have more coming through? Or no? Okay, so there you go then. That wraps it up with some of the dailies here this morning. So we're back in just a moment. Stay on with us.
Judgment according to law and justice. The pain suffered by the Nigerian people wherein about the local government there was no election being conducted. Baradu local government, part of 4 wards of Birimagaji and part of Bukuyo play unit. Today this court has taken that bold step and confirmed that the election of Zamfara state governorship was inconclusive. To that extent, the result the respondent brought was also held that they mutilated, not aside by any of the agent or the party agent. And the court has ordered for a rerun in these areas and all those polling units where there was no election or where there was no proper election for issue of failure for non-compliance with the Electoral Act. Today, the people of Zamfara State will now go back home to sleep well and go out and prepare for a rerun election in those areas that have issues with the electoral system. So finally we said, Alhamdulillah, and we pray for peace to reign in the entire state of Zamfara State.
to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser. Or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
Lights, camera, action, and showtime.
This is a big win for my generation of Africans all over the world.
You don't need no other body.
I want you to listen to me well.
The movies in the beginning was I was the lover man.
Some amazing talent in Nigeria who were born, raised, they never left, they're there.
Shawty want a medium girl.
Watch entertainment news on Channels Television at these times.
All right, welcome back. So now we've got Yusuf Idris, who is the Publicity Secretary of APC in Zamfara State. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
Okay, just running through what transpired in the courts yesterday for the Zamfara governorship election. The court did order INEC to conduct fresh election in 3 local government areas of the state where the court said election had not been held previously or where results from various polling units were not counted. Secondly, local governments, which here named Maradun, Berlin Magaji, and that's Bukuyum, 3 local government areas. And then the court also says that it was wrong for INEC to rely on information it obtained from its INEC result viewing portal. That's a famous IREF portal to collate the final results of the governorship elections. We thought those slides were going to come up. Okay, so that's just a highlight of some of the key scenarios that came through yesterday. So for you, your party, you must have been happy with this.
Really?
Okay, so give us the background because, I mean, the PDP definitely will equally just respond to this one, but could you explain to us how you think this is valid, of course?
The APC in Zamfara State filed a petition at the Election Petition Tribunal, earlier held in Sokoto, and the tribunal, we felt, is not just trust because the initial result of Baradu local government, APC won with 98,000 baht. During the collation of the result, the INEC, in collaborations with other military personnel then, who are not happy with the participations of the former governor in the Naira Swap litigations, connived and changed the results and copy a result from, as they claimed, they copy a result from IREF and make a formal declaration of the governor. So we felt it's wrong, it's unconstitutional, and it's a total violation of the Electoral Act. That is why we approached court for justice and in order to have our valid votes as cast by our electorates who have given us the mandate.
What part of the Electoral Act did you think it violated?
The violations of the elections, of the gubernatorial elections, that is why from Maradu local government.
No, I mean, what part of the Electoral Act? When you say it violates the Electoral Act.
Violates. That is copying a result saying not to comply with the collation of results from the real
elections officials, meaning the collating officer of the local government who is responsible and is being guided by the Electoral Act. The IRF, as said by the INEC, is just for convenience. It's not for collection results. It's not to collect results, the IRF. So when the results came in Maradu local government area, the resident electoral commissioner, that is Professor Barbara and others, hides, or I don't know, how can I put this? Maybe they kidnapped the electoral officer of Maradu local government and take him to one room and hide him.
Did that happen?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. What exactly happened?
You said that happened. I thought you said maybe.
No, it's happened, not maybe.
They kidnapped
They kidnapped him inside an office.
Who kidnapped him?
The resident electoral commissioner along with the security personnel then.
Was this reported to the police?
It was reported. We make it clear to everybody. We make an announcement to the world. This is what is happening at the time. And when they change the result, we make an announcement. And something very embarrassing is that the electoral commissioner of the state, Professor Barbara, called all political parties in the afternoon, telling us that we are going back in Birimagaji local government to conclude the 4 wards remaining elections the following day. And we are surprised at 3 a.m. they declared the results after holding the meeting with all political parties.
I didn't see anywhere where the court talked about changing results. You said they changed results and you complained.
Yes, that's what we filed. That is why the court says the Maradu local government. Maybe the reporter in the court did not report it clearly. The presiding judges at the Court of Appeal says because the result of the Maradu local government is totally mutilated. That is why they will not see, because the result is a duplicate copy. It's not the real original copy that was seized.
Did the court use the word change results?
They said the result is being mutilated. The 98,000 votes.
The court didn't say change results. So our correspondent could not have reported what
that is why the court says we should go back for rerun in the Maradu local government and the remaining local government where elections don't hold.
So those are two different things.
Yes.
They didn't hold.
Yes.
And not that they changed that result.
The Maradu local government, that is what we are challenging in the court. The result is being changed. It's not the result brought by the collecting officer.
So where was it that they relied on information obtained from INEC result viewing portal to collect the final results?
That is what the INEC said during their presentation in the court. But what we are challenging the ballot board cast and the result brought to the INEC by the collecting officer who is being assigned by the INEC. That is Dr. Kainwa.
This is not the Supreme Court, though. I mean, what if the governor decides to challenge this particular verdict?
We're expecting him to challenge it.
We're expecting him to challenge
it.
Okay. Because we do know, I mean, there are 2 places now, confirmed to us, the 2 places where elections did not hold are Birnin Magaji and Bukuyum. Is that correct?
Yes.
So elections did not hold in these 2 local governments?
Yes. Not all. Not all the local governments. Understand?
Not the whole of the local government?
Yes.
Okay, maybe a few wards. Okay. How many wards?
In Birimagaji local government is 4 wards.
4 wards?
Yeah.
In Bukuyum?
I think it's 3.
3 wards?
Yeah.
And these wards, do they amount to having 65,750?
It's more than, I think.
It's more than?
Yeah.
When you look at the number of registered voters. Okay.
Yeah.
So as I'm wondering, but when the court is talking about the INEC results viewing portal, oftentimes we know that what the Electoral Commission has said is that if there is disparity in terms of what they're seeing on the results sheets and what they're seeing in BVAS and what they're also seeing online, they will most likely resort to the information on the BVAS and also the portal, not exactly the result sheet.
No, the INEC guidelines of the election 2022 as amended, no result collation from IRF or BVAS. The area of collecting a result is the result written from the source from the electorate. That is from the polling unit to transmit to the ward level, from ward level to be transmitted to the local government level, from local government level to be transmitted to the state headquarters of the INEC. That is why the result is valid.
That's not what I remember INEC officials telling us. They told us that the beavers will be used, that they will use the beavers, and that's part of their guidelines, that they will use the beavers to double check if there's any disparity or there is any variation from what has been recorded on the result sheet and what is in the beavers.
That one does not give them a power to change a result brought from the local government or from the ward level or from the polling unit. They don't have that power constitutionally.
Yes, but I mean, when you look at the fact that we spend so much money on these technologies to safeguard our elections, are you not concerned that sometimes, and this is Zamfara right now, this might be in your favor, this particular ruling might be in your favor, but when you look at the entire process in general, and you say, oh, we shouldn't look at what has happened on IREV, or we should ignore what has happened on the beavers, and the only thing we should look at is from EC8A, as a result sheet, and even the other result sheets from the ward center, the local government, as the case might be. Don't you think that it could be subject to manipulation that can also affect you negatively in future if there is no backup to ensure that what exactly happens in the polling unit is what is reported at the collation center?
I think what we're supposed to do is always to support justice and do the right things during the election and even after the elections. We should not go contrary to the law of the land so that it's just for our own convenience and others. The IREF provided by the INEC is for its convenience. It's not provided in the law of the INEC.
It's not for its own convenience. It's for all of our own convenience.
I'm saying, no.
It's for all of our convenience.
Madam.
You don't agree?
No, madam.
That
I disagree with you.
The fact that you, as a politician and as a member of a political party and just a Nigerian, can log on to to the IREF portal and see what has transpired in any local government, in any polling unit. You don't think that is for your own convenience as well?
The reason why I'm telling you this, when you log into IREF results sometime, you see a result of Imo State into Zamfara State. You find it because it's not properly arranged and coordinated to conduct the elections. But you find in the IREF result, you find many state results into another state.
So while there are problems, just a moment, Chamberlain, while there are problems, you made very serious allegations that the security and the INEC officials were not neutral in the elections in Zamfara State. And you said, oh, it was because the governor was involved in the currency. What did you say now? Was the currency problems?
Not the currency problem, redesign policy.
The redesign policy.
When they have decided to take the federal government to court to challenge the legality of Naira swap at that time, without giving Nigerians a chance to do the right things while changing currency in a country. You cannot just in a day wake up and tell citizens that the currency, the valid tenders were ceased to be valid. Just a day, without making it going in and out to the bank so that any amount going to the bank to be seized until when the Naira circulation is over. So the governor challenged it along with other governors.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So why do you think that he is the only one that was singled out for punishment?
He is not the only one. He is not the only one. I can tell you, a senior minister then called him on phone that your actions, you are going to receive the repercussion of it.
So he was sent antagonistic.
And secondly,
just a moment. Are you saying then that he was sent antagonistic INEC officials and antagonistic security officials? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. The military were deployed from Abuja and Kaduna personally for them to rig the election. It's not an issue of PDP and APC in Zamfara State then. It was Governor Matawale and the cabals then.
You're aware of the implications of what it is that you're saying?
It's not an implication. We have the fact. We have the record. We made petitions at various stages.
Sorry, I don't understand that. Did you say Governor Matawale deployed military? I'm sorry, could you make
Not Matawale. You don't understand. Listen to me carefully. I said military were deployed just to trick out Governor Matawale during the 2023 18th March elections.
And President Buhari was commander-in-chief.
Buhari was the commander-in-chief then.
And it was an APC.
He was an APC.
And he allowed that to happen.
I don't know that he's aware or he's not, but the cabals, the military stations at the INEC headquarters were directly communicating with the 10th Brigade of Guard.
But I see, just checking online, you see it was widely reported at the time during that election that the coalition officer of the Maradun local government area was abducted and kept in government house. He was forced to change figures, and when he was eventually released, he refused to use the results given to him, and that was why they relied on IREV.
This is just a report. What really happened, he is the same person went to the tribunal and testified that the result he brought from Maradun local government is the correct result that he collected from Maradun local governments submitted from the ward collection officers.
So you heard the time that he was abducted. Was he abducted?
He was not abducted.
Was he taken to government house?
He was not taken to government house.
So you're saying he was
He was abducted at the INEC headquarters. He made a pronouncement while declaring the result, that the result is not the result he brought. He was under duress and the INEC officials. He made it categorically clear at the INEC headquarters in Gusau.
Okay, I think we'll have Honorable Mokhtar Luga, who is I hope he can hear us. He's Chief of Staff to Zamfara State Government. He's also Chairman of the PDP in Zamfara State. Honorable Luga, good morning. Can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so I don't know what part of this interview you've been able to hear so far, but at least you know of the court's decision that elections, not the 3 local government areas where election results from other polling units were not counted, and the court holding that it was wrong for INEC to rely on results obtained from IREV. I mean, we've heard Mr. Idris here say that results were mutilated, and so figures were changed. INEC officials were abducted. Military was brought in to rig out Governor Matawale. So how do you respond to this?
Well, I haven't heard Idris's contribution to the program, but going by the antecedents, I'm not surprised to any allegation he will make. Now, these are with the allegations. I have questioned him several times that it is very, very unprofessional and it is highly irresponsible for any party or any individual to claim that military has been used in an election. I mean, he should know, perhaps now, that the military cannot be dragged into something like this. So I think these are weighty allegations, and he should be very mindful of what he's saying. Of course, it is not true. The integrity of the Nigerian army cannot be questioned. We respect their professionalism, and it is not within our purview.
Yeah, so concerning Maradun local government area, because if I recall what he said too, that the coalition officer was abducted by your agents, a person sympathetic to your party, and that results, he was forced to, I think those were your words, that results were mutilated, and then he was forced to give contrary results. Did you hear that? Okay, we'll try and get his connection back. He's appeared to have frozen now. But Mr. Yusuf, what he said, that you trying to drag the military in, you leave people open to this suggestion that, okay, if you're saying or alleging that that's what happened, it means that, it could mean that now that Governor Matawale, the former governor, is Minister of State for Defense here, so he too now is going to use, quote unquote, the military for this next elections and rig the PDP out.
That is your perception.
No, I'm not saying it's my perception. I'm saying you made an allegation, people could interpret it as that.
What I'm saying, the Nigerian military has an integrity, but some unpatriotic soldiers were used.
But he's Minister of State for Defense.
That is now.
What's the guarantee that he will do the same thing that you're alleging now?
Not then.
Because tomorrow...
He is now the Minister of Defense.
Yeah, but tomorrow somebody could allege this too.
When he was rigged out, he was the governor of Zamfara State. He was not the Minister of Defense.
Right, but now that he is.
And he is not in control of the military.
Oh.
You understand?
So he's not part of the cabal now?
He is not. He's just a Minister of State. He has a senior minister in the ministry.
But of course, you know that naturally people will think that, well, if he's Minister of State, Defense, chances are that he might want to pull a string or two to win the election.
See, it's not an issue of using military. Some of the military used them. I don't patriot to some of them. But I'm telling you, the brigade commander then was stripped his powers. His power was stripped. Somebody commanding the military in Zamfara from Abuja. We were all sent away from the collation center. The Senator Kabiru Maraba was sent away. A military telling him, if you not leave this place, we are going to shoot you.
But if you look
Senator
at those,
Sabia was asked to leave the place.
If you look at the results, while we try to get Honorable Luga back, but look at all that results. Are you telling us now that that result that was declared by INEC, and if you look at the margin of that result, those results, what percentage or what fraction of that result would you say was not correct?
What we are saying,
because
the results in Zamfara State, if we are going to write a petition in all the local governments, people who are sent away from their polling units, from collection centers, by security agencies. Some results were even changed. A state constituency of many of the state constituencies of the state assembly, results were changed immediately before the declaration. After winning the election, an APC candidate will win the election, and the result will be changed and make a different announcement.
Well, that's not what the court ruled on here, so...
We did not file it.
You didn't file it?
We don't file it. What we are saying here...
Why won't you file it if you felt strongly about it?
We won the election. You understand? We won the election. Inside the 14 local governments, 13 local governments were declared will not challenge it. One local government where we...
Wait, I don't understand. Why is it that you have facts and you won't file it?
See, we filed... Everybody is filing within his jurisdictions. All the state assembly members files their petitions differently. We cannot join governorship elections with the state assembly or national assembly. Okay. It's been filed in different stages.
Well, Ayo, my colleague, has got some questions for you as well.
First of all, concerning the results that Chamberlain has been and Mark have been asking you about, it's also been reported in the media that some elections in Zamfara were cancelled. At least here we said that INEC cancelled 8 polling units in Zamfara state. As of course you know that it is due to some form of violence or insecurity that happened. Listed Unit 18, Unit 57, Unit 43, Unit 64, Unit 12, and a number of others like that. Are these part of the polls that you are contesting in court?
I'm not hearing you clear.
Can you hear me better now?
It's scratching.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now? I'm pretty sure that our people were already working on that. I'm asking that INEC cancelled some elections in Zamfara State, part of the governorship elections in Zamfara State during the election in February. Are these part of the results that you are contesting?
We contest some of the polling units cancelled by the INEC.
You are, yeah, I can hear you, but you are aware that the reason INEC would cancel is because of insecurity or violence, and it is part of their guidelines.
The INEC, before the conduction of the 2023 general elections, INEC released the states and the areas where there is no security, where election will not hold. Zamfara State were excluded from where areas expected election may not hold. So we don't expect either to say they cancel a polling unit or award elections because of insecurity. The result are the released materials are there. You can search on the Google and see. how INEC released then before the conduct of the 2023 general elections.
Incidentally, one of the areas where the election was cancelled by INEC was the place where the governorship candidate of the PDP cast his vote. And as soon as it was done, political thugs invaded the polling unit, according to reports, where it was discovered that all the voting materials were destroyed by the suspects. You don't think that is ground for cancellation by INEC?
Well, INEC can consider it is because of any violence to cancel an election or a polling unit. But in some areas, the law says that even when you cancel an election into a polling unit because of crisis or violence or anything else, the election should be rescheduled for another day so that the other people may not feel disenfranchised from exercising their civic rights of voting their candidate of their wish.
Essentially, you are saying that INEC should change the rule of the game because of your candidate. Is that what you're saying?
INEC to change the rules because of my candidate. Well, maybe you are not hearing me clearly.
Go ahead, I can hear you loud and clear.
I said the laws provided that when election is being cancelled for a particular polling unit, for violence or any other things that might happen during the conduct of the elections, there is a provision in the Electoral Act that election should be rescheduled maybe the following day to conduct similar exercise so that to come out with authentic results of that polling unit.
All right, let's go back to the Chief of Staff. Well, again, we appreciate your joining us this morning. What part of I don't know if you've listened to any part of the conversation we've had so far, but let me perhaps begin by asking you, because we couldn't really get that from you the other time. How is your party reacting to the ruling of the court?
Well, thank you for having me on the program. Like I started saying, honestly, yesterday, this ruling came as a shock. We were surprised at the turn on the red, but as believers, we are also thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the favors He has done on us. We have been through difficult times. We are a party that is very resilient, so we don't feel this is a problem. Like I said, we have confidence in the judiciary. We have this is not a new thing that has happened. I mean, this has been an ongoing debate even during the election. On the eve of the announcement, this issue came up, and it was clear why the results, why Zulmi was cancelled, the Bernie Magaji was cancelled because of insecurity. We challenged the results that were returned on Maradon local government because it was, to us, unheard of for you to have more votes than the people that actually were registered at Maradon local government. So the ruling from INEC was out of facts, which the Supreme Court now, the appeal court now has cancelled. We are very confident. We don't have any issue with that. We know what our choices are. So basically, I don't think there's anything to worry about. We have been through an election. We have won an election fair and square. So even whatever the options are, depending on the decision of the party, which is maybe to go to the Supreme Court and maybe to go for another election, we are ready for it. I mean, there's really nothing. Our party is still popular. Our candidate is still popular. So I don't know why, it seems as if we're fighting. It's not about party, it's about the people of the state. They deserve good governance, and that is what we're giving them. So if we can be able to win an election while we are not in the government, to uproot an income.
Oh dear. So back to the same place. Well, okay, Mr. Guzo, let me ask you this. These areas that you were talking about the other time, let me ask you, what, in your perspective, in the perspective of your party, informed the decision of INEC to declare the results and declare a winner given these facts that you mentioned? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I said, in your opinion, what could have informed INEC's decision to declare the results and declare a winner despite these facts that you said INEC should know?
In my own personal opinion, the INEC sends the leader of the INEC, that is the Professor Barbara, and the other management staff then, maybe they were threatened or maybe asked or directed, because the Professor Barbara is the person who invited all the political parties which are in attendance, that we are going back the following day to conclude the Birnin Magaji elections. And we were surprised, we heard him in the night declare a result. Maybe, you know, the issue in Zamfara is quite different with other states. The election in Zamfara state, especially the governorship, there is a lot of interest from Abuja, which make them to plan different plans A, B, C, D on how to ensure that the governor is being rigged out from office for their own personal interest, or I don't know how I can put it. Maybe that is my own perspective.
Okay, well, another question that follows that perhaps is that all these results, no matter what is declared at the collation center, must have come from a particular polling unit. So do you have the evidence? I mean, you were telling my colleague Marco the other time that you have some evidences and all. Did your representatives at the polling units sign the polling unit results that were collated?
We have provided all the results from polling unit, ward level, up to the local government level. That is what we presented before the Election Petition Tribunal.
The question I'm asking is, did your representatives sign? Did the representatives of your party, did they sign on those result sheets that you are presenting as evidence?
All the results, all the duplicate copies are provided by our party agents at the polling booths, at the ward collations and the local government collations. We have a duplicate copy of each, and it's what we have presented before the Election Petition Tribunal in Sokoto. That is what we later transmitted the same to the appeal courts in Abuja.
I'm not sure you're answering my question. Did your representatives, the APC representatives at the polling units, did they sign to validate the results as true copies?
Not only our party agents, even other political parties signed the duplicate copies, the result, from the polling unit up to the ward level to the local government level.
So essentially,
the result was signed.
Yeah, essentially
by other political, not only our agent.
Okay, because the reason, of course, no other party is here. You are the only one that is here. You do realize the meaning of your representatives signing the polling units, the polling results, right?
Yeah, that is why we decided to challenge the declaration of the governor at the court, at the appropriate court that is being provided by the Election Petition Tribunal to challenge the declaration of the governor.
If your representatives signed that the results at the polling units were the very results, then doesn't that authenticate that everything that happened at the polling units your party agreed with?
Any party agent is our agent. We, as a political party, assign him to stand on our behalf. So whatever brought from the polling unit by a party agent is what we are going to work with, because he is our representative at the polling unit.
Colleagues will take it from here, but just one last question that I want to ask you. Now, part of what you were telling Malcolm the other time in your response is that, you know, you are challenging results in certain areas and all. These areas that are being disputed, did elections hold there at all, or the elections just didn't hold in certain places?
There is in Birimagaji local government, the election did not hold in 4 wards. In Bukim local government, the elections were held, but the results were not announced and collated. In Maradun local government, the election holds, the results were collected, but later been mutilated and changed to another number. That's what we are challenging.
Okay, I'd like you to take a look at this. Honorable Luga, just hold on a minute as well. We're trying to ensure that the connection is good enough, but we'd like both of you to listen to this video, more so because we'd like to get your response on this video as well.
Starting from the very time I started collecting until the time we decided to move from Maradun to Gusau as a result of insecurity and allegations presented by APC agents. I asked the EO to contact the Honorable Commissioner to guide us on the way out. Then they concluded that we moved everything from Maradun to the INEC helicopter in order to finish our collation. On our way, we were stopped by other security personnel. Before we moved Maradun, we had to invite DSL force who invite the armored tank, the soldiers, and the DPO deploy his policemen, and all the security personnel in order to reach Gusau safely. To our expectation, if we see armored tank or many security personnel surrounding us, we must have rest of mind. Yes. But surprisingly, when we reached that bridge from Maradun, after Maradun, we were stopped by other security personnel. It took them more than 1.5 hours exchanging views. We don't know what they were saying actually, but we were there until when we were asked to move to, with those security personnel, myself, my returning officer, Maradun 1, Dr. Abbas Salinaheru, Maradun 2, Dr. Bashir, Electoral officer, and the 5 collation officers. Actually, I collated the result I presented to INEC from those collation officers because I am not the one collating the result from the polling unit to the one. My own is only to sit down to collect from them, and that's what I did. When I calculated and sum of everything, I presented the result to INEC. And after that, we came to realize that there is a lot of differences and discrepancies between my result and the one in the server. That was why INEC decided to download the one in the server so that I would use it to present.
You heard him there. Ahmed Kainua, Maradun Local Government Area Collation Officer.
Yeah.
So he was explaining why they had to rely on, go to the server, and then do what they did because they tried to abduct him, stop him from announcing the original results. This is contrary to what you were saying.
He is confirming my statement.
No, he says that because we have a longer version because of the time where he was alleging that. What statement is he confirming?
he is confirming what I said.
Which is?
I said the results were changed. He confirmed it. He said the APC make a complaint. He is making the statement before declaring the result. He said it's not the result he brought from the Maradun local government. He said he was at the collation center in Maradun local government. He was, all the results were brought from the ward's collation officers. He entered into his form, the collection form that is.
Did he say why he relied on the server to announce the Maradun results?
He said the INEC officials at the headquarters says there was a discrepancy between his results and the one at the server.
So what did he say about why they had to rely on the server?
He said the INEC commissioner and the other officials asked him to change because they discovered discrepancies. They were not the court. They were not entitled to change any result.
So relying on the server, because he didn't announce the results that they were trying to force him to announce, did he?
No, not force him. He said he brought the result from Maradun local government in company with military and heavy security personnel.
Let's get Honorable Lugar's version of what he thinks of this matter, because that's part of the result in contention right now. Honorable Lugar, you're aware of the allegations made by the coalition officer for Maradun. So Mr. Yusuf is alleging that, it was persons sympathetic to your party that prevented him or tried to force him to announce the contrary results.
I understand. I hear Mala Yusuf loud and clear. And like I said, I am not really surprised about all these allegations they're churning out. But I don't even know what Yusuf is trying to hear. Are you trying to correct what the appeal court has said? I mean, this verdict has been ruled in your favor, which actually said that the result of Maradun should be cancelled and then another fresh election should be ordered. So I think instead of you staying here and talking about what has happened and what has not happened, I think you should start heading home, you and the minister, so that you can prepare for an election. We don't have any issue concerning what has been said. We respect the decision of the court. And I think the here sitting here talking about this, I mean, it's just a mere academic exercise. So please, Mala Yusuf, we go with justice. All the demands you have said, I mean, some have not been approved by, most of them have not been approved by the appeal court. But this has been approved. So we don't have any issue. Okay,
I think we lost that connection. We'll keep working on that one. So those are some of the challenges we're facing now. So he initially said, his opening, that they were shocked and surprised at that ruling, of which, of course, the APC is glad about it. So, Bob, all of them will be going into the election, all the parties that contested. So they will be going back there for those 3 local government areas.
It's interesting that this will not be challenged at the Supreme Court of Nigeria, because it would seem that from what the Chief of Staff has said, it doesn't appear that they intend to go to the Supreme Court. It does appear that instead they're preparing for elections. Is this something that gives you some comfort, or does it make you think that, look, this might not be a good idea after all?
Madam, I can tell you, you hold me responsible. If we are going for election today, we are going to defeat them tomorrow. 100% we are going to defeat them.
So you are happy they're not going to the Supreme Court?
We are happy to go back for rerun in the 3 local government areas. The people of Nigeria and the citizens will witness what transpired earlier.
Okay, let me ask you, Honorable Lugar, just to clarify, because I had made this assumption based on the response that you had given to Mr. Idris here. I wanted to know if you will be challenging what it is that the Court of Appeal had said in the Supreme Court. Will you be doing that?
Let me tell you, when we get to, assuming we get to the Supreme Court, the verdict will still be the same. What will happen is that the Supreme Court will decide on the judgment of the lower court against vis-a-vis the one of the appeal court. So either way, I think at the end of the day, it is just going to be that there should be a rerun. If the Supreme Court feels the judgment of the lower court should be sustained, then there will be no need for an election. So like I said, we haven't even collected the judgment. The judgment will be collected on Monday. We have applied for it today. So we will sit as a party and take a decision on that. But meanwhile, I keep telling Idris that the crux of the matter is not even the courts. They are used to getting victory at the courts. Go back and talk to the people, the same people that kicked you out of the office. So please, whatever the outcome may be, the ultimate winner should be Zamfara people and not a few select people like they're used to getting. They're used to getting verdicts from they have never won an election. So basically, we're not scared of elections. We're ready. And then if it gets to that, we will do that. But the decision to go to Supreme Court or not will be taken when His Excellency is ready to do that, but not before. So, yeah, that is the position.
Honorable Luga, the difference in that election is about a little over 65,000 thereabout. So why are you so confident? Because he equally is confident that when they get back, they will win. So why do you think that if you go for that rerun, you will go back to the government house with victory?
Because like you rightly said, figures don't lie. The difference between our election and theirs is that we are leading them with about 65,000 votes. So now, if Maradin is cancelled, that will reduce their 24 and it will reduce our 12. So we'll still be leading them by about 70,000 votes. In the other places that election did not take place because of insecurity, we will beat them. We will beat them fair and square. So I don't even see what they're challenging. We still have a lot of gap that they have not been able to fill. I don't know where they're getting their confidence. And let me tell you, Idris, I don't know what you're relying on because you seem to think it's only the military that can win. I hope you're not thinking. You're not thinking what I'm thinking. You're thinking. Be very careful about dragging institutions into this kind of thing. You have lost popularity. You should admit it. So basically, whatever the case may be, this election is about Zamfara people. Zamfara people will still decide. Idris, you don't have a chance to win an election in Zamfara. You know that, and I know that. So stop deceiving people.
Honorable Luga, speaking about the people, because, I mean, the country knows that security concerns, and we're trying to see how we can ensure that every part of this country is rid of any security threat whatsoever. We know the peculiar challenges Zamfara has got. So do you think the people will be confident to come out and vote? And what role do you think security or insecurity will play in these elections?
Well, like I said, we are hopeful that with the effort His Excellency has done, security has returned relatively in some areas. It is not in our interest for some areas not to be able to participate in the election. But this question should also be directed to Idris because right now it is his boss that is running the Ministry of Defense. How are they prepared to give protection for our people to come out to vote? They seem to be confident. When they kill a few bandits, they come out and they say Matawale is working as Minister of Defense. When there's a little incident, and then it's the fault of the governor. Let us clearly understand whose responsibility is it to protect the lives of innocent people in the villages. So please, it is entirely up to them. If they think the situation warrants peace that we should be able to sit to go out for election, then we should. So we don't have any doubt that at the end of the day, the federal government will take decision that will be in the interest of the people.
Yeah, Yusuf Idris, is that right? I mean, when some bandits are killed, you thumb the chest of the military, and then when certain things go wrong, you blame the governor.
They should go and face what they're supposed to face now. He promised people of the states, in some quarters, saying they are going to provide enough security. Announced this, we have never witnessed a wasn't period of spate of killings, bloodlettings, kidnapping, and other things like now. Within the period of 6 months, if you can't go to Zamfara State, most of the town and villages were destroyed totally, and some deserted their communities, coming to the cities, looking for shelters and what have you. And what the federal government is doing, if you move now from Kaduna to Abuja, when you go to part of Zamfara State, you see a heavy presence of security personnel within the road and within the communities.
So if all of those devastation happened under the watch of the current president, you know, terrorism is under the purview, the military takes very strong stance on that one. Does it mean then that they're not winning the battle?
See, you should understand the difference between the role of the president and the role of the governor. The president is in charge of the entire country's security. The governor is the chief security of his state. Where he requests the support of the Mr. President, the Mr. President will support him directly or indirectly, in whatever capacity.
Mr. Yusuf, I mean,
what I'm saying here...
Is there any governor in this country that will just sit back and not request the federal government or the military to ensure they root out any bandits in their states?
But the current governor in Zamfara state, he is even fighting the federal government effort in tackling the insecurity.
How?
In many areas.
Exactly. For instance,
he's accusing the federal government, saying it's got into negotiation, which is lie. The federal government is taking all bold steps to ensure...
Did he say he does not want the military to help in rooting out bandits in Zamfara state?
Maybe you are not conversant with his statements.
Could you just answer? Did he say so?
He said it many times. He said he's going to use his own personnel he's going to employ within the state.
All right, let's go to Honorable Luga. Honorable Luga, maybe if you also need to respond to that. So tell us now, what has there been successes recorded by the current government in Zamfara state?
Of course, there has been successes. Let me tell you, the main policy thrust of this administration, that is the administration of Dr. Lawal, is zero tolerance for bandits. We refuse to negotiate as has been done before by the previous administration. We all know there was a time that bandits were lords in Zamfara. They dictated what goes on. We felt that we will not cede any part of Zamfara to any bandit. So we made His Excellency made categorical assessment to the effect that bandits, he will fight bandits to finish. There's no negotiation whatsoever. So I find it very, very nauseating that Idris will sit and talk about, what has happened to villages and entire villages being wiped, and he's looking at it as if it's a Dauda problem. It is a Zamfara problem, Idris. Nobody celebrates failure in security situation. Stop making it as a political tool, Idris. Come back home. Let us solve this problem. We have reached out to the Minister of Defense to help us. Come, let us talk about it. Forget political differences. Our people are suffering. People are dying, Idris. And you sit here making cheap political points about people being killed.
Honorable Luga, if I may interrupt. I wish you would just address the issue and not address him directly, because he hasn't addressed you directly.
I will address it.
He's spoken to the issues.
When I addressed Idris, I addressed him as a young brother. No offense meant. I'm sorry, Idris. Now, let me tell you to the audience. His Excellency is up and doing. That's Governor Dauda. He is doing all he can to ensure that normalcy is being returned to Zamfara. That's what we promise of our people, and that is what we're giving them. Now, like I said, we need a lot of support from the federal government. We have a minister from Zamfara State who is also the state minister. What we're looking at from him is total support and nothing else. By now, we expect him to be in Zamfara, just like he has visited over some places. We're still waiting and hoping that he will make it to Zamfara so that we can be able to sit as a family and look at how these menaces can be arrested. So basically, to answer the question is, we are doing all we can day and night to ensure people are able to sleep with their two eyes closed in Zamfara. That is the best we can do, and that is what we have been doing.
All right, gentlemen. I mean, it won't be good for the people to get the impression that politicians going at each other and then the people suffer at the end of the day. So if the Minister of State for Defense, who is former governor, and also will be vying for this 3 local government areas election as well as the PDP, it won't be good for people to get the impression that they're bickering and then the people are suffering, because that is a scenario, people may get that sense listening to both of you. But we do hope that at the end of the day, politicians, both parties or all parties vying for that election, do what they can to ensure that politics does not get in the way of the safety of lives and property in Zamfara State at the end of the day, because I think that is the most important thing for the people. That's why they want to elect whoever is or they consider better to do the job for them. So that is what we're trying to pass across to everyone listening. But we do thank both of you for coming on. Honorable Mukhtar Luga, Chief of Staff to Zamfara State and Chairman PDP Zamfara State, as well as Yusuf Idris, Publicity Secretary, APC Zamfara State. Thank you both, and all the best to both of you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice morning.
All right, we will be back in a moment. Stay on with us.
Heartburn and indigestion? Try Just Eat. My recommendation for the past 26 years, Just Eat. Reliable remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
To give the confidence that only comes from knowing you are fully sorted. To show up for you just when you need a hand. And when retirement comes with all its worries and storms, to ensure we will stand by you and give you the coverage that you deserve. Make the perfect choice. Choose PAL Pensions today.
PAL Pensions, your pal for life.
Discover Lipton's flavorful and balanced taste. We pick fine quality tea leaves from selected tea gardens around the world. To give you Lipton Yellow Label's flavorful and balanced taste in every sip.
The National Assembly complex was under lock and key on the second legislative day of the week. Parliamentary staff as well as journalists were affected by the organized labor protest.
This is not the time to stay at home under any circumstances. So for me, it's just an appeal that they should kindly return to work and let's continue the process of dialogue.
Upon resumption of plenary, the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, tendered an apology for the delayed commencement. Consequently, the NLC and TUC protest was tabled as a matter of national priority.
This morning, some of us found it difficult to access the National Assembly. And right now, our aides are not in our offices. So the intervention of the National Assembly is very apt and timely.
The motion for debate is advanced.
It is wrong to have attacked somebody for protesting as they did. But it is equally wrong for myself and others in 35 states to be punished for what happened in Imo.
We have obligation not only to intervene, but to do everything we can to find solution. But also take advantage of this moment to appeal to the federal government to honor their own obligation with regards to the 35,000 naira increase across the board is implemented by the 36 states and the 774 local governments.
We urge the Nigerian Labour Congress, the TUC, as well as all protesting unions to immediately call a stop to the ongoing strike in the national interest. Prayer 2, mandate the Senate President and the Senate leadership to immediately summon a meeting with the protesting union leaders with a view to resolving the issues amicably. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate adjourned with a two-pronged approach with the hopes that their intervention would engender a solution to alleviate the suffering of Nigerians. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Okay, welcome back. Lalu Akode joins us next. Former presidential aide. What a week it's been, Lalu, in the news week. What a news week.
Yeah,
well,
interesting.
You know, several scenarios now. Labour dominating the week in the news with their strike and how it was handled. Then, I mean, we'll also get to see if there's been any, or what your impression is about the PDP's call for averting any potential or thoughts or intentions of getting a one-party state, probably it will be opposition stance. So let's see how I can look at some of these matters. So first of all, let's take a look at how the strike went on, what happened before that time, during that time, and after that time. How do you think all of that was handled?
Well, I think that the first thing is that we are glad that they sorted it out fairly quickly, you know, and the nation didn't have to waste too much time, you know, when there are quite very serious problems to deal with in the country. But it was bad enough that, you know, we essentially crumbled and stunted economic work for at least 24 hours or almost 2 days. However, we must give kudos to the National Security Advisor who took the initiative to call the meeting that resolved this. And one we wonder, as we commend the NSA, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, one we wonder, you know, where the labor ministers were actually. They were at the meeting, but it is important to note that the Ministry of Labor, or whoever, I mean, now we have 2 ministers there. It's one of the hardest portfolios, without a doubt, in the federal government, you know, for obvious reasons. You know, just look at the history of the country, look at how much tension exists around labor issues. So whoever, or the people in those ministries must be motivated. They must be people who want to do the job. You know, we hear all kinds of bosses that maybe guys, you know, wanted something better and didn't really think that that portfolio was exciting. But if they accepted to do the job, they need to do the job. Labour gave 1 week notice, and there was no response of any kind for the whole 1 week until the NSA had to intervene. And look at how quickly the matter was resolved. So they have now arrested, you know, according to the NSA, they've now arrested some of the suspected culprits.
Do we expect that they should have read out the names of those who were arrested?
I think so, you know, because it has to be transparent. We, you know, I mean, that we improve trust and people's confidence in the process. You know, but we must commend the Inspector General of Police, you know, who had said before that there will be an investigation. And now,
but the Labour said they didn't have confidence in the IGP. So they preferred an NSA-led intervention, which is what it eventually came down to, because they said that the hierarchy of the police were in the same hotel where their comrades were staying, and they were aware of what transpired. In fact, they were telling us behind the scenes too, hush-hush, that look, the feedback they got from them was as though that not just the police hierarchy, but Ministry of Labor too seemingly, you know, somewhat proving of what transpired. That was a sense they got from it, even though they stood corrected. But NSA leading this intervention. How about that?
Yeah, so we hope that the investigations will be thorough and very objective, so that we know exactly what happened. That is what the Inspector General of Police has promised. And don't forget also, and we have to be fair about this, the Commissioner for Police in Imo State was actually moved after the incident.
Yeah, but we know why.
Well, you know, but
it wasn't
it's so
directly, at least from what the IGP said.
Well, maybe not. But I'm saying that we should open the expectation that let's see what the outcome is going to be, and we should give the credit that you have an IGP who is saying that yes, you know, we're going to deal with it. We will be watching to ensure that this is properly dealt with. And like you said, you need the names of the culprits, and the other culprits that are still at large should be apprehended, and they should be taken to court, and this matter should be taken to the full extent of the law, because it's important, not to promote that kind of violence and intimidation that led to the beating up of
Do you agree with the school of thought that suggests that the NSA is being bogged down with this matter, which ordinarily shouldn't be in this purview, and as such, they shouldn't make it a precedence, such that any such thing happens, he is back in the fray because he's got bigger things to fry?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised also that it was the NSA that summoned the meeting. I remember that previously it was the Chief of Staff, Mr. Gbajabiamila, that has played that role, even in recent times. So I mean, I'm not quite sure, I'm not entirely certain why it is that is.
Well, I think part of the reason was NSA was also in the way when that happened, and they said that it was the NSA that placed a call through to when, I think they said the people who hijacked or took Mr. Jiro, they were taking him somewhere. Can't remember where he himself spoke about that. They would have killed him or something like that. And so the NSA put a call through, and then that staved off any further whatever was going to happen. So they trusted and believed that since he was proactive in that regard, because they tried to call the IGP according to them, what they told us here, he didn't respond. They reached NSA, he responded. So they grabbed the lowest hanging fruit, as it were.
As it were. Well, I mean, so I mean, kudos to the NSA.
Grab the more responsive fruit.
I mean, it's good that we get somebody on the ball, and now
potato.
The matter has been resolved. Absolutely.
When you say the lowest hanging fruit, sometimes it seems you're talking about hierarchy, and I know that's not what we're talking about.
No, of course not.
Grab the more responsive fruit. Oh, well, I mean, the kinds of things that we have witnessed from the weekend up until now, quite a lot for us to digest, and I think for a number of people continues to indicate to them, the trajectory that our country is taking. And we cannot ignore the recently concluded elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states. I'm sure you must also have kept an eye on those as well, and also looking at some of the commentary that had come through even before the election. Some people thought it was a window through which INEC could redeem itself. You have spoken extensively on some of the reforms you think that INEC should undertake. How would you say that the electoral body discharged of its duties in these elections?
Well, I think that we still have to look at, I think there are still ongoing developments, but I think the case in, I think it was Kogi, where some of the results were written ahead of even the voting, still raises quite a bit of concern. I mean, I don't want to go and, pound on INEC, again, hoping that they are trying to fix, the issues. But when you have a situation that results are being written out, I think it calls for some very profound reform of the agency itself, if indeed you had your staff compromised up to the point that they released the result sheets and results have been filled. This kind of thing does not inspire any kind of confidence or trust. But let's hope that the commissioners, the INEC leadership, will be able to really get to the bottom of this kind of stuff. Now, we must concede that of course the people that work in INEC are also Nigerians. So it's not so much trying to say that this is something that is just localized to INEC, but it still remains the responsibility of the leadership of INEC, the chairman, the national commissioners, the resident electoral commissioners, to ensure that the enormous trust that the Nigerian people and the government have given INEC is protected and secured, so that we can begin to build trust of the people in the government. There is so much cynicism, and it is this kind of behavior that encourages it. So for the election, I think, well, we've had the elections is gone. Those who will go to court. But to your point, it is important for INEC to continue to work on improving the trust of the people in the process.
It'll be interesting to see how it is that they do that, because as you said,
How's that going to happen?
Well, yes. I mean, there's also that matter which we've been bringing up and up again. And we've told the Senate that matter is not going anywhere until we have heard from them. It'll be very interesting when we eventually are able to get a senator as to, whether they are aware that these allegations as to them confirming people who have been reportedly partisan, has been brought to their notice, and if they're going to be doing anything about it. But today, the dailies are reporting, I think it's General Abubakar, who is speaking on even the conduct of the polls. Thank you so much, Chamberlain. And these are his words. We need to clean up our electoral system. Says citizens collude with merchants of corruption during polls. And this is very big because, I mean, as you said, the INEC officials are Nigerians, and the people who seek to corrupt them, who seek, an INEC official will not just wake up, whether ad hoc staff will be, and feel results in, that person must have been influenced, by somebody else. So if we're to start a reorientation of what an election should be about, where would you say we start from?
Well, I think, we've made this point also. I think it has to start with some kind of political education that creates awareness, and some kind of conscientizing the Nigerian people that power actually belongs to them. It's a democracy, and it's the reason why, voices have to be loud on this issue. It's a democracy. This is not a military government. This is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Now, so everybody ought to be on the board on ensuring that that message goes in as deep as possible. And that's why we have to keep on reforming the electoral process every and any time that we find a loophole. But to your point, it has to do more with the mindset of the average Nigerian, whether it be a politician, whether it be a voter, an ordinary citizen, to understand that, look, at the end of the day, power belongs to the people. Now, if we all think that those that get into government can do whatever they choose, if we don't insist when we see an infringement, if we don't raise our voices and say, no, we are not going to take that, then they will continue to behave in such instances. And the issue of the INEC commissioners, I think the 2 or 3 of them, is an issue that we must keep alive. It's interesting that the PDP issued a statement and said that they are afraid that this current president or this government is leading to totalitarianism. I said, what did the PDP legislators say in the Senate? We have, I'm sure, more than 30, thereabout, PDP senators in the Senate when the confirmation of those commissioners was going on. What did they say? Not even a whimper. It was only the public secretary who issued a statement from PDP. You had PDP senators in that Senate, sitting down in the Senate, pretty, watching the whole event, watching Akpabio bring his chief of staff, former SSG, to become a national electoral commission. And the PDP senators sat down there and just clapping. And now the same party is saying that they are afraid that Nigeria is going to become totalitarian. Now, we must begin to take ourselves seriously. If the PDP and LP are going to be an opposition, they have to be a responsible opposition. They have to stop and raise their voice. They have to raise hell. I would have expected the PDP and the LP senators to raise hell on the nomination of Akpabio's former SSG, but they did not.
Would they be afraid that if they did, they might lose some of the perks that were supposed to come to them?
They were not going, they were not in the office, they were not elected into office for the perks. They were elected in the office to serve the people. But you are right. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But the point is that, and this is part of the awareness that we need to create by raising our voices, that look, when you are elected to serve. It's the reason why I suggested the last time. I
always call them, they are our servants.
They are.
I mean, other than the Auditor General, servants, he emphasized. Okay, let's go to him, by the way. Ayo, go ahead.
Chamberlain, thank you. Sakode, just one question from me, really. when you and Marco were having that conversation, it just suddenly occurred to me, or was it you and Chimeli? It just suddenly occurred to me that the NSA, the office of the NSA, is part of the office of the president. I remember when he was hosted by the previous NSA, he said, the previous NSA said, this is your office to the president when he visited. The chief of staff is also in the office of the president. Now, for an issue that happened between the labor union and the government of a state, for the president or the president's office, because at the end of the day, it's the president that's intervening, to be the one to be taking care of such an issue when, as you said, labor is there and the National Assembly even also made a call. Isn't that over-centralizing? Isn't that giving too much attention and too much power, over-institutionalizing one individual's office in the nation? How does that strengthen our institutions?
Well, so I agree with you that, and we try to make the point that this is the job of the labor ministers, and we have two of them in that ministry. Incidentally, both of them are, politicians. And so they ought to be the one in front on this matter, and they were not. Now, we don't know why they were not in front, but if we have a situation where somebody else, just like you said, in the government, steps in to fill that gap, we must consider that to be a good thing. But you are right. The institution, the arrangement ought to be that the labor ministers are the ones that ought to immediately respond in some fashion to the notice by the labor movement that they were going to go on strike. But there was nothing for a whole week until the strike entered day 2. So how do we build institutions if the people that are supposed to man those institutions are not sufficiently motivated? I made a point that it's possible that these folks that headed up in that portfolio wanted something better. As a matter of fact, that is the boss. But look, if you accepted the job from the president, he said, this is your portfolio, and you accepted it, then you have to do the job. We don't care, whether you wanted something better or not.
Okay.
The people want you to deliver. And the president himself, has to be very hands-on. I mean, he has talked about the fact that if people don't deliver, then there will be consequences.
Well,
this is one occasion where the labor ministers have shown that things ought to be done better, and we hope going forward that they will step up.
Well, that raises another question for me. Yes, the buck stops at the president's table, but it is also clear the president cannot do it alone. It was the previous government in which you served that we understand that the federal ministries, departments, and agencies are more than 1,500. And the president is the one that sits atop all of them. So he needs help to be everywhere, so to speak. Raising the question of how our politics or our democracy throws out the right kind of people or not. Do you think we are configured right now in a way that that our democracy or our system, our government, our people, our nation throws up the best of us into positions of authority for influence such as the one we had in this labor union, in this labor case?
Yeah, so I would like to say that it is a process of evolution, if I may use that word. I think that we have to be deliberate. We have to be, and I don't see that much of intentionality. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I don't think we have had a very deliberate and intentional process to picking people. Now, like we've said before on this program, some of the ministerial picks are excellent, top-notch. But there are some that are also quite, questionable and raises a concern. So it's both sides. You have some good fits and you have some, troublesome fits. The point is that whoever is appointed, we need to continue to tell ourselves that if you get a job, especially a public service job, when you accept to do that job, you got to do it. And if you don't do it, then there has to be consequences. But to your point, generally, I think we have to, as a people, demand more accountability. When and if we demand more accountability, when we put more skin into the game, when the government officials understand that we will not accept just anything, I guarantee you that you will begin to see a change, a movement towards reform. But if we all sit down and just sip our teas, sit in the veranda on election day, have a bottle of beer, and just gist all the while without taking action, without getting involved in the process, without ensuring that we vote and make our vote count, if all we do is just, hang around in our homes and just enjoy ourselves, well, the political leaders will continue to push whatever they like. But if we continue to engage and raise our voices, I guarantee you that there will be a change.
All right, Lalo Akonde, former presidential aide, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Just a couple of emails here. Dixon Eka on the court judgment says, the many conflicting judgments on political matters from the appeal court is alarming, and the court needs to redeem itself to avoid losing its glory. In some cases, pre-election matters must not be entertained by the tribunals, and members of one political party are busybodies in the affairs of other political parties, but in some other cases, they entertain pre-election matters from non-members of such political parties and give verdicts. These are not healthy, and the appeal court needs to clear itself for reference purposes.
Well, Professor Nakena says inconclusive gubernatorial election in Zamfara State, as it is now, is why we're clamoring for all election matters to be conclusive 6 months before winners of elections are sworn in. This is the negligible part of the Electoral Act that the National Assembly must amend to forestall misgovernance in the polity. Our scarce resources cannot be deployed to conduct unending circle of electioneering matters as more Nigerians fall into the bracket of endemic poverty.
Yeah, so there you go. Today will be Judgment Day. I think Kano and Bauchi will be keeping their eyes really close. So look out wherever you are if you're in those states. Well, that is the show today. What a week it's been. Thank you, as always. We'll see you next week, some of us. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm Alkwelkun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayamakinde. Have a beautiful day.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.